Chapter 34. The asking of Angel Jibreel alayhi salam from the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam about Iman, Islam, Ihsan and the knowledge of the hour. Narrated Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. One day while the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam was sitting in the company of some people, Jibreel alayhi salam came and asked, "What is faith?" Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam replied, "Faith is to believe in Allah, His angels, the meeting with Him, His messengers, and to believe in resurrection." Then he further asked, "What is Islam?" Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam replied, "To worship Allah alone and none else, to offer prayers perfectly, to pay the compulsory charity zakat, and to observe fast during the month of Ramadan." Then he further asked, "What is Ihsan?" Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam replied, "To worship Allah as if you see Him, and if you cannot achieve the state of devotion, then you must consider that He is looking at you." Then he further asked, "When will the hour be established?" Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam replied, "The answer has no better knowledge than the questioner, but I will inform you about its portents. First, when a slave gives birth to her master. When the shepherd of black camels start boasting and competing with others in the construction of higher buildings, and the hour is one of 5 things which nobody knows except Allah." The Prophet ﷺ then recited, "Verily with Allah alone is the knowledge of the hour." Then that man, Jibreel alayhi left, and the Prophet ﷺ asked his companions to call him back, but they could not see him. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, "That was Jibreel who came to teach the people their religion." Abu Abdullah said, "He, the Prophet ﷺ, considered all that as a part of faith."
Okay, who's Abu Abdullah? This Abu Abdullah. Huh? Ibn Umar? Umar ibn Khattab? No. Again, this is something you learn when you read Sahih Al Bukhari, when you study it. Abu Abdullah is the Bukhari himself. So he's commenting. This is hadith. If it were Ibn Umar or the Prophet or anyone else, it would have been mentioned in the hadith. But this is, Abu Abdullah said, the Prophet considered all that as part of the faith. This is why he brought this hadith in, the asking of Angel Jibreel about Iman, Islam, Ihsan, and the knowledge of the hour. All of this is part of the deen, which emphasizes my introduction to you yesterday. The introduction is very important, where I stated to you that Iman can be looked at in 2 parts, but before that, Islam. So Islam can refer to religion in general. And this includes Iman, includes Ihsan, includes hidden beliefs and apparent actions. And the second part of the meaning of Islam is when compared with Iman. So Islam alone means the whole religion. And this is what Al Bukhari indicated in the bottom, that the Prophet considered all that as part of Iman, which is the Salat, which is the Zakat, which is the signs of the Day of Judgment, and Ihsan, etc. So it is essential for us to know what is meant by that. Can we go a couple of slides before? So the hadith has a number of different variations. We know the hadith of Umar radiallahu anhu in the very beginning. So Islam, Iman, Ihsan. Ihsan is divided into 2 types. A higher level, which is known in Arabic as al-mushahada, When you see something is different than when you hear about it. What is stronger? To see. So a higher level of ihsan is that when you actually perform in this life as if you can see Allah Azza wa Jal. How would you behave? Definitely in a way second to none. If I can see Allah Azza wa Jal, how will my prayer be? Now imagine if someone says, I'm going to kill you, but I don't know when. So anticipate being killed. And imagine if the same person is standing in front an assassin or a murderer with his weapon pointed at him, ready to shoot him. Which one would be more attentive? The one who's going to be shot on the spot, because I can see the murderer. So if a beautiful woman passes, would he say? Or he would be focused on the murderer? His attention would be totally to what he fears. Seeing is different than hearing. And this is the level of the Prophet ﷺ and the companions and the righteous believers. When they offer their salat, when they offer their zakat, when they fast, when they walk to work, when they come back, when they deal with others, they're always doing it while watching Allah Azza wa Jal. The second level, this is called, the first level is called what? Mushahada. Mushahada from seeing, from watching. The second level, which is a lower level, if I'm unable to reach that level in watching Allah Azza wa Jal and observing Him, in this case, there is the level of al-muraqabah, that Allah is watching you. Once you know that Allah is watching you, so you look at what pleases Allah, fearing that if you don't, Allah would record it against you. You hear only what pleases Allah, and you do whatever you do, afraid that Allah Azza wa Jal would hold that against you, and this is the level of al-ihsan. When we go to al-Islam and al-Iman, we will find that they're interlinked because they're mentioned in the same hadith. Usually al-Islam talks about the deeds that we do and they appear to everyone else. Iman talks about the hidden ibadat, to believe in Allah Azza wa Jal, in the messengers, in His books, in meeting Allah, in the qadar. What is meant by qadar? What is meant by qadar? Destiny. Destiny is one of the 6 pillars of Iman. And this is something that a lot of the Muslims are confused over. So Imam Ahmad was asked about destiny. He said, it is the knowledge of Allah. Now, there are 4 pillars to believe in destiny. 1, that Allah Azza wa Jal knows everything. So in order for you to be a believer in the pillar of al-qadar, khayrihi wa sharrihi, you must believe that Allah knows everything. And now Allah's knowledge is not like ours. Allah knows what happened in the past, and what is happening in the present, and what will happen in the future, and what did not happen, how it would have been if it were to happen. So Allah's knowledge is so vast, is so great. Once you know that Allah knows everything, you're content and pleased with whatever happens. Secondly, you must acknowledge and know that Allah has written everything. The hadith says, when Allah first created the pen, Allah ordered it to write. So the pen said, what should I write? Allah said, write everything that will happen from now till the day of judgment. Prophet says, alayhi salatu wasalam, this was 50,000 years before creating the creation, the whole universe. So it's all written in the Al-Lawh al-Mahfuz, the preserved tablet, written and done with. So now we believe in Allah's knowledge. We believe in what was written. One would say, okay, then why does Allah put us in hell? If it's already written, why Allah punishes me for something that He wrote and predestined? First of all, this is not your business. What do you mean my business? I'm going to hell. Yes, but first of all, how do you know that you are going to hell and not to heaven? Because Allah wrote that. How do you know what Allah wrote? He said, I don't know. Go to the Twin Towers, to the top, and throw yourself, if you can, and insha'Allah, you will fall on your feet, if Allah wills it. But if He doesn't will it, you will die and become a pizza. Would you do this? No. Why? Don't you believe in destiny? Yes, but what? It's your choice. You do not know what Allah has decreed upon you. And Allah has given you the way, showed you this takes you to heaven, this takes you to hell. You make a choice. You want to go to Salat, you will go to heaven. You want to go to the bar, you will go to hell. It's your choice. So people keep on asking, but why? Why did Allah decree this on me? Akhi, Allah decreed it, but you chose. If I come to you and I slap you on your face as hard as I can, and you become angry, say, don't become angry. Allah decreed this upon me. Will you say, Wallahi, ya akhi, I did, yes, alhamdulillah. Or you would retaliate. You will not allow this. So why do you always look at Allah's decree in justifying your sins and failures rather than looking at the positive part of it? So one, Allah's knowledge. And this is beyond our imagination. I'm a teacher. I have 2 students. One of them I said, you will fail. He said, how do you know? Do you know the ghaib? Do you know the unseen? I said, no. But I know your capabilities. I know throughout the year that you did not study or memorize a single thing, and you will fail. And he will fail. How do I know? This is my limited knowledge. Allah Azza wa Jall's knowledge is far greater than this, because He created us and He knows how we'll behave and He knows what we will choose. And this is not related to any of our knowledge at all. This is Allah, it's different. So Allah's knowledge, Allah's writing, Allah's will. Meaning that Allah chose this to happen. So don't ever be confused. Everything that happens on earth or in the universe is with Allah's will. But Allah's will is divided into 2 types. A will that is dependent on what Allah loves. And this is called irada shar'iyya. This is legislative will. Meaning that Allah loves from us to pray. Allah loves us to worship Him. Allah loves us to be merciful, to be generous, to be kind, to be obedient to our parents. But this will may happen and may not happen, this depending on what we choose. Yet this is Allah's will. But the universal will, al-iradatul kawniyah, this is what takes place whether Allah likes it and loves it or not. So when we find that a person steals, he stole with the will of Allah, but Allah does not love that. This is universal. When we find that Prophet Yahya was beheaded by a kafir and given as a dowry, as mahar, to a prostitute. He's a prophet. Now, does Allah love this? No. So the legislative will is not applicable here. But the universal will is because it happened. And scholars say, to make this a little bit closer to your understanding, though it is a little bit confusing for you. Abu Bakr and Abu Jahl, both Allah Azza wa Jal ordered them to become Muslims. In Abu Bakr, the legislative will, which Allah loves, is there, and the universal will took place because he became a Muslim. So both are fulfilled. In Abu Jahl, Allah ordered him to become a Muslim. This is legislative will. Allah loves it. But he did not. And he decided to become a kafir mushrik. And the universal will took place and it happened. So, by this understanding, when a man is killed unjustly, is the legislative will fulfilled? No. Allah does not love people to be killed unjustly, or for women to be abused, or for wealth to be stolen. And this is why He told us that this is prohibited and haram. But did the universal will happen? It is written. This is why we have calamities, we have catastrophes, we have volcanoes, earthquakes, people dying, children suffering. All of this is universal will. Not necessarily that Allah loves it, but it has to happen. And it happens with His will. So a sinner cannot come and say, Wallahi, I committed my sin against Allah's will, in the sense that Allah could not have stopped me. Be careful. Everything that happens, happens with Allah's universal will. This is inevitable. But what Allah loves and wants, which is the legislative will, happens only for those whom He loves. But those who don't, they will decline. So, number one, knowledge. Number two, writing down. Number three, willing. Number four, and this is the last pillar of the belief in qadar, is the creation. Allah created our actions. So He willed it and He created it. And why do we say this? Because there are sects among the Muslims who claim that Allah did not create evil. Allah did not create our actions or our sins. If Allah did not create our sins, who did? Is there other creator than Allah? There is no creator other than Allah. So Allah created everything, including our actions. And this is mentioned in the Quran. Allah says, Wallahu khalaqakum wama ta'malun. Allah has created you all and all what you do. So everything is created by Allah Azza wa Jal. These are the four pillars of Al-Qadr, and I think this is about it. And of course we learn from this hadith that when the Prophet ﷺ was asked about the hour, what did he say? Does he know? So anyone who does not know must claim and proclaim and announce that he does not know. And this is a word that rarely we hear from scholars. When they ask, what's the ruling on so and so? I have an answer. What's the ruling? Haram, halal. What's the ruling on having aliens living on Mars? I've seen 2 or 3. Yeah, and always having an answer. Rarely you will find people say, I don't know. We as Muslims, we should not put ourselves as a bridge over hell where people walk on our backs to safety. You don't know? Say, I don't know. You're doubtful? Say, I don't know. Who cares? Save yourself first rather than put yourself in problems. طيب. When the Prophet ﷺ was asked about the hour, he said he does not have knowledge. However, he knows that there are, what is it? But I will inform you about what? About their signs. There are signs of the hour, and this is not the time. But I did a short course in Kuwait last month, I think, or before. It was about the signs of the hour. It was about 6 to 8 hours short course. And it's on YouTube. You'll find it on my YouTube channel. It is very beneficial. Not because I said it, of course. This is beside the point. But it is very beneficial because at the end, second slide. At the end, the Prophet said, that was Jibreel who came to teach you or to teach the people their religion. So the Prophet made, alayhi salatu wasalam, the signs of the hour part of your religion. So it's not only Islam, Iman, Ihsan, but also the signs of the hour. And it's essential for us to know it. There are minor signs and there are major signs. Among the minor signs that, for example, the time is short. Now, year and year, we feel that 24 hours are not enough. They are so fast. Ramadan was yesterday. It's almost, what, 5-6 months from now. And tomorrow, it will be tomorrow. So time is running so fast. This is part of the minor signs. That ignorance is prevailing. The scholars are dying. The buildings, the nomads, those who shepherd the sheep, who are barefooted, who are this and that, they go and boast about tall buildings. Do we have this? Well, Saudi, Dubai, everyone says, mine is bigger than yours. Meaning the building. So they have skyscrapers, and we're building one in Jeddah, the tallest, the highest building, and now they're making one here, I think. And then they want to make somewhere else. This is what's happening. The Prophet is telling us about this. But there are major signs as well. And the major signs are 10. And we know among them is the Dajjal, is Gog and Magog, is a Dabbah, the beast that would come and speak to the people and brand them on their noses. We know that there will be landslide, 3 major landslides. We know this and we know that. All of this is part of the signs of the Day of Judgment, and it is part of the religion. Moving on.
Bismillah. Chapter number 35, the superiority of that person who leaves all doubtful, unclear things for the sake of his religion. Narrated an Nu'man bin Bashir radiallahu anhuma. I heard Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, both legal and illegal things are evident, but in between them there are doubtful, suspicious things, and most of the people have no knowledge about them. So whoever saves himself from the suspicious things saves his religion and his honor. And whoever indulges in these suspicious things is like a shepherd who grazes his animals near the hima, private pasture, of someone else, and at any moment he is liable to get in it. O people, be aware, beware. Everything has a hima, and the hima of Allah is the earth and His illegal, forbidden things. Beware, this is the piece of flesh in the body. If it becomes good, reformed, the whole body becomes good. But if it gets spoiled, the whole body gets spoiled. And that is the heart.
Now, this hadith is one of the fundamentals of Islam. Scholars used to say that Islam rulings revolve around 3 hadiths. 1, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. This deals with intention. 2, مَنْ أَحْدَثَ فِي أَمْرِنَا مَا لَيْسَ مِنْهُ فَهُوَ رَدٌّ. And this deals with following the Prophet ﷺ and innovation. 3, this hadith. الْحَلَالُ بَيِّنْ وَالْحَرَامُ بَيِّنْ وَبَيْنَهُمَا أُمُورٌ مُشْتَبِهَاتٌ لَا يَعْلَمُهَا كَثِيرٌ مِّنَ النَّاسِ فمن اتقى الشبهات فقد استبرأ لدينه وعرضه ومن وقع في الشبهات فقد أوشك أن يقع في الحمى ألا وإن لكل ملك حمى ألا وإن حمى الله محارمه. This hadith is important because it clears to you that there are 3 things that you have to be aware of. Halal, which is the vast majority of things. By default, everything on earth is halal. What is the ruling on holding this? Halal. What's the ruling on walking on the stage? Halal, come on. So everything is halal unless something comes and tells you it's haram. And halal things are obvious. Drinking orange juice, papaya juice, melon juice, lemon juice, all types, halal. While the haram things are also obvious. So what's the ruling on wine? Haram. What's the ruling on vodka? Tequila, gin, rum, brandy. All of these are haram. Obvious, no one doubts it. But there are dubious things. And these dubious things are not dubious to all. The Prophet said, alayhi wasallam, a lot of the people do not know the rulings, but there are few who know. And who are these few? The scholars. So you have to refer things that you do not know of to scholars, and they will clarify this is halal or this is haram for you. What is the dangers of dubious matters, or known in Arabic as mushtabihat? Why is it dangerous? Because it's a gray area. Once you fall into the gray area, you're closer to falling into the black area. And the Prophet gave us, alayhi salatu wasalam, an example. He said, hima. What do we mean by hima? Hima is a sanctuary or a restricted area. Every king in the past had a special area for his property. So you had a fence, and in that area, it's a grazing land, vast, big. Only his cattle is to graze. So the Prophet is telling us, this is the norm. Everybody knows this. Be careful. If your cattle comes and sneaks in and starts to graze in that area, what will the king do? He will be grateful. He's thank you. Jazakallah khair. Now this is mine. Ya Sheikh, this is my cattle. So you know that this area is mine. Anything that goes in does not come out. So the Prophet is telling us that beware, once you fall into dubious matters, you are getting close to falling into haram. And once you fall into haram, you are doomed and done for. And this is extremely important to learn and know when we, on the individual level, it doesn't matter that you look on your right, oh yes, the brother is falling into dubious things. And this brother is also falling in dubious things. This one is falling in haram. This one is... It's important for you to analyze your own self. Am I getting closer to haram? Am I falling in these dubious things and doing it without knowing because I am busy looking and analyzing others? Why don't you look in the mirror and see how close am I to Allah Azza wa Jal? How close am I to falling into danger and dubious things? Then the Prophet tells us alayhi salatu wasalam about what helps you from staying away from dubious things. Cleansing your heart. He says that there is a piece of flesh in the body. If it becomes good, I cannot see. The whole body becomes good. But if it gets spoiled, the whole body gets spoiled, and that is the heart. The heart, whenever mentioned in the Quran, it is the center of everything. The heart is the center of Iman, of intellect, of feeling, of knowing, which brings us to the 1 million Kuwaiti dinar question, because it's the biggest currency. What about the brain? So is it the heart that we think with or the brain? Who makes the decision? This is an issue of dispute long ago. And the reason of dispute is the physicians, the doctors, the neurosurgeons. They come and say, the heart is a flesh. It doesn't have any place to think or to do this, and the neurons and the waves. And scholars of Islam all over, they say if you read the Quran and if you read the Sunnah, you will have no doubt that everything happens in the heart. But this does not mean that there's no connection between the heart and the brain. So the brain can initiate, but the processing is in the heart, and then the heart sends to the brain and the brain distributes. There's no problem. So as a Muslim, we believe that it is the heart that is in charge mainly of everything. Of choosing, of believing, of kufr, of hatred, of love. Everything is in the heart. But this does not mean there's no connection between it and with the brain, as Shaykh al-Imam Muhammad al-Amin al-Shanqiti, may Allah have mercy on his soul, said. I think this is about it. Okay?
Chapter 36. To pay al-Khumus, 1/5 of the war booty to be given in Allah's cause, is a part of faith. Narrated Abu Jamra, I used to, rahimahullah, I used to sit with Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, and he made me sit on his sitting place. He requested me to stay with him in order that he might give me a share from his property. So I stayed with him for 2 months.
I will interrupt you because instead of reading the whole thing, then going back to it, I get confused, you get confused, we sleep. Here, this man, Abu Jamra, used to interpret one narration to Ibn Abbas into Persian so that the people who attend his gathering understand. The other narration is that Abu Jamra used to deliver, meaning that Ibn Abbas was old, he used to speak in a soft voice. Abu Jamra used to shout it so that the people, as far as they are in his gathering, can hear. So he gave him a portion of his wealth, meaning he gave him wages, to do this task, and he stayed for 2 months. This is an indication that it is permissible to take money in exchange for knowledge, even for teaching the Quran. And we spoke about this in Al-Adab Al-Mufrad. And we said that it's an issue of dispute. The Prophet ﷺ approved it. And he said that the best thing that you may charge money for is teaching the book of Allah. There's no problem in that. So, carry on.
So I stayed with him for 2 months. Once he told me that when the delegation of the tribe of Qays, Abdul Qays, came to the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet ﷺ asked them, who are the people, that is you, or who are the delegate?
So what does that mean? That the Prophet ﷺ, Ibn Abbas is narrating something that happened. So he said that the Prophet ﷺ used to sit in Medina and envoys come to him, tribes come to him, people come to give the Pledge of Allegiance. So this delegation of Abd Qays came to him, and the Prophet said, who are the people? Who is this tribe? So he's addressing them. Who are you? So that they would identify themselves. So they said,
They replied, we are from the tribe of Rabi'ah. Then the Prophet ﷺ said to them, welcome, O people, or the delegation of Abdul Qays. Neither will you have disgrace nor will you regret. They said, O Allah.
This is greeting, huh? So he said, Marhaban bi Rabi'ah. The word marhaban is frequently used by the Prophet ﷺ. So he used it here with this delegation. He also used it with his daughter. Wherever Fatima used to come, he would say, Marhaban bibnati. Welcome my daughter. Also his cousin, the sister of Ali. Her name is Hane. He would say, Marhaban Hane. Also Ikramah ibn Abi Jahl, who fled, but then came back and accepted Islam. He said, Marhaban bi al-Rakib al-Muhajir. So the word Marhaban was used by the Prophet ﷺ in 4 or 5 cases. Would you think that it is appropriate that we use it as Muslims? Put it in your dictionary from now on. When you see someone you want to welcome, howdy. No. This is not good. Say Marhaban. Marhaban, this is a beautiful Arabic word of greeting and saying welcome, or you are welcome. It is originating from the Arab word al-rahb, which is a wide area. That's why when someone says to me, shukran, I said, ala rahbi was-sa'a. You're more than welcome. So marhaban, put it in your dictionary. Go ahead.
They said, O Allah's Messenger ﷺ, we cannot come to you except in the sacred month, and there is the infidel tribe of Mudar intervening between you and us.
So now, after they accepted Islam and they wanted to go back to their tribe, they said to the Prophet ﷺ, we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. What is the problem? The problem is we live so far away from you, and between us and you there is the tribe of Mudar, and Mudar does not allow us to come except in the 4 sacred months during the year. Who among you would tell me what are the sacred months? No, raise your hand. Raise your hand, say it alone. Nobody wants to say it. You say, all of us or none? I want one. Raise your hand. Rajab. Dhul Qa'dah. And Shawwal. No. Ahsant. Very good. So there are 3 months in a row. Dhul Qa'dah, number 11. Dhul Hijjah, number 12. Muharram is haram, is number 1. And Mudar, number 7. And this is known as Rajab Mudar, because they were the only one who used to observe it. So they said, "Oh Prophet Allah, we cannot come to you. There are wars and people with infidels and so on. So, carry on."
So please order us to do something good, religious deeds, so that we may inform our people whom we have left behind at home, and that we may enter paradise by acting on them.
So they ask for something brief, concise, yet that they can carry to their people and teach them so that they can implement. They cannot go up and down and to learn. Not like us now. You make a phone call, you learn about your religion. You access the internet, you enter, you send an email, you learn. They had a problem. They had to travel a month or so. Yes.
Then they asked about drinks, what is legal and what is illegal. The Prophet ﷺ ordered them to do 4 things and forbade them from 4 things. He ordered them to believe in Allah alone and asked them, "Do you know what is meant by believing in Allah alone?" They replied, "Allah and His Messenger know better." Thereupon the Prophet ﷺ said, "It means first to testify that none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and Muhammad ﷺ is Allah's messenger. Second, to offer prayers perfectly. Third, to pay the zakat. Fourth, to observe fast during the month of Ramadan. Fifth, and to pay al-khumus, 1/5 of the booty, to be given in Allah's cause."
These are 4 or 5?
5.
And he said in the previous slide, I will tell you 4 or 5.
4.
This caused problems to the scholars. Is he telling them about 4 or 5? So one of them said, yes, they are 4. But the Shahada is part of worshipping Allah Azza wa Jal. It's by default, so it's not counted by the 4. By default, they're Muslims. They know this. These other are 4. Some say, no, khums is part of zakat because it's financial obligation. So this is considered to be part of it. So either way, they were told about 4, whether this is not counted, which is more likely because the shahada is by default included, and then the rest falls into line. Yes?
Then he forbade them 4 things, namely hantam, dubba.
Okay, now we finished with the things that he ordered them to do. Now we come to the prohibition. The beginning, they ask him about what? Drinks. What is halal? Because the Arabs used to adore and love drinking of intoxicants. And they used to say poetry in it, to the extent that they called the tree of grapes al-kurm, coming from generosity. The tree of grapes is called in Arabic kurm. What does generous mean? Kareem. So kurm, kareem. Why? They said because when we make wine and we drink it and we become drunk, we start giving money in charity. So this wine causes us to become generous, not because we are generous, but because we're drunk. So they used to love to drink. So they came to the Prophet ﷺ and they wanted to know exactly what is right and what is wrong. So the Prophet is telling them, 1, there is hantam. 2, there is dubba. 3, there is naqir. 4, there is muzaffat. This is and, fix it. It's not Anne, Princess Anne. This is and. So these are 4 types. And what are these 4 types? These are vessels. These are pots where people put into it a juice and it becomes quickly into wine. Carry on.
Or muqayyir. These.
So, muzaffat or muqayyar from zift or qar. What is zift? Zift is tar. You know this filth? This filth, we call it zift. And qar is also a substance that is made inside a pot or a vessel. When you put juices, it makes the chemical reaction quicker and it turns into wine.